Arizona on Sunday. It's a long season, and it was just kind of one of those weekends that, as I've said, you play 30 games, you're going to have a weekend or a game or two where you just don't play well, and that was our weekend. We did not play well. We didn't do anything particularly well, and so it's disappointing, but it is what it is, and you have to move on. Like I told the team yesterday, I think sometimes prosperity can be a lousy teacher. And, we had a lot of success in the preseason, and, we got the split to open up Pac-12 play at USC and UCLA. And so, I think we had kind of gotten away from what had made us good, which was improving every week. And like I always say, our goal is to stay together, stay healthy, and get better every week. That doesn't change, and I think we had gotten away from really focusing on getting better every week, and our play showed. And I kind of think the bottom of the wet paper bag fell out last weekend in our play, but it didn't fall out in terms of our program or our players or our chemistry or anything. Nothing has changed other than we kind of got a wake-up call about, all right, we got to get better, we got to get back to what makes us good. And what has given us success, and we have to improve. There's a lot of things we got to get better at. So I hate losing more than I can even express, but sometimes it's good for you. And so it's been we practiced yesterday, had a good conversation with the team, and we got to move forward. So that's what we'll do.
I know with the team having Monday off, you've only had one practice, but have you done anything differently, especially about the one-on-one defense that you've talked about?
Yeah, we focused on that a little bit yesterday. The way the schedule works, we've got, you go 6 days in a row, so we don't go real hard on Tuesdays. It's more of a mental day, skill day, film, they lift. So that's what yesterday was more of a mental, talked about stuff. But today, yes, we will be working on that for sure.
And then continuing through practice, on Sunday you mentioned the lack of attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you're really focusing on this week?
Yeah, and I think, yesterday I kind of put the ownership on individual players in terms of who needs to really work on that. And by focus, I don't mean that they're not, into the game. I just mean that, in this conference when the margin for error is so small, one player one time forgetting that she's guarding a shooter could be 3 points, and that could be the difference in winning or losing. And so we have a lot of those mental lapses where, we come out of a timeout and we're supposed to be in a press, and 3 of the 5 players are in it, and the other 2, oh, yeah, that's right. That's what I mean by focus. So those are the things that if you want to win in the Pac-12, you can't have those kind of lapses. And, yes, we have a lot of new players and some young ones, but at this point they've played a lot of games, and like I said yesterday, it's time everybody steps up in that regard. So there's really nothing, there's no drill you can do it's not a light switch, you can't fix that. They just really have to be dialed in.
Yeah, just looking at those scores last week, 2 dramatically different scores and obviously different teams, but, what was between the games? Were you shifting focus? We got to take the lid off the basket, we got to score more, and maybe something was lost in that second game defensively, or?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I think, we started the game really well against Arizona, and, I was impressed with how Arizona played. They came in just with nothing to lose, and they made some really hard shots. In the game, it's hard to really know what's going on. It's just like, dang, and then you watch it on film, and it's like they made some really tough shots. That's not to say that our defense was great, but some of them, they were really deflating because I thought we defended pretty dang well, and they just kind of made some, I always say better offense beats better defense. A great move will beat great defense. So, and that's kind of some of it what it was, and it just kind of was deflating. And, I don't think anything changed. I think Friday's loss to Arizona State punched us in the mouth a little bit. I think we were a little bit shaken by that. We just couldn't ever get anything going Friday against ASU. We weren't very good, and I think it shook us a little bit, rattled the cage, and so Sunday I had thought we had a good practice on Saturday, and we came out really strong, and then Arizona just wouldn't go away, and you have to kind of tip your hat to them. They did a nice job.
So you guys are about halfway through the season now. You've had some good positive notes and a couple of, not so positive notes during the season. If you had to give your team a grade right now as they've been performing, what would that be?
Well, it's hard. That's a good question. It's a hard question right now because last weekend I'd give us a D, right? Before that, I'd probably say a B. So overall, I don't think one weekend can cloud a season, and we can't let it. And that's just being mentally tough to not, we have to be tougher than that to let one really bad. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It was not good, and we didn't play the way we need to play or compete the way we are expecting to compete. And I expect them to compete. But it can't be a signature weekend for our season. We have to move on. So to answer your question, I think we've been a solid B. I think there's things we need to get better at statistically, but we're finding ways to win. And again, remove last weekend. We were 12-1 coming into last weekend. So we're 12-3. It's not the end of the world, but we need to get better.
That being said, even though you guys are at home this weekend, maybe not the opponents you want to bounce back against. Well, surely you do want to bounce back against them, but certainly not easy with Tara Vanderveer coming in and her team. Is that, from a coaching perspective, is that sort of a wake-up call that you can kind of light a fire under your players, or is it? Is the challenge as imposing as it seems from here?
Yeah, that's a real good point. But in the Pac-12 right now, it's like every team you play, I think there's 4 teams in the top 12 right now in the country. So and Stanford's one of them. So it doesn't matter, every weekend it seems there's going to be one of those games. I certainly have so much respect for Stanford and Tara. She's just a legend and a pioneer for all of us in this sport. And so, I was talking with Bill Riley yesterday on his show, and I think his quote was, "So you have a couple cupcakes coming in this weekend to rebound against," and the irony is thick there. So, or the sarcasm, I should say. So yeah, it's going to be tough. We play Stanford on Friday. They're really, really good. The thing that, Stanford has just a culture of who they are and how they do things, and they do not waver from that. So, the biggest thing with them is they don't beat themselves. They don't make mistakes in terms of, you have to beat them. And so, but, it's as a competitor, it's what you want. We had a lousy weekend. Let's lace them up against one of the best programs in the history of women's basketball and see how tough we are.
Do you mind if I ask a follow-up?
Sure.
You talk about Tara's culture. And this is year 2 for you. What culture are you trying to build when people think of trying to play Utah, trying to beat Utah? What do you want this team and this program to be?
Well, and I love that question. I think it's we're still in the phases of building that, and that's what I talked to the team about yesterday. And I actually talked with Larry Kustoviak about this, and he's done a tremendous job of creating a culture for Utah men's basketball. And I think, it's such a big word, and there's so many ways you can take that. I think we just have to have an identity of how we want to play and who we are. And my hope is, and I think, it's really hard to talk about this after coming off the worst weekend that we've played since I've been at Utah. But I want to be hard to play. I want, win or lose, I want the other team to walk off exhausted and saying, man, Utah's tough. They are really tough. And they're tough to beat, and they're physically, mentally tough. It's tough to play here. That's what I want our identity to be. I want it to be, our culture to be one of, no one person's bigger than the team. And everybody has value. And so, in our team this year, if Emily Potter's our quote-unquote best player, she has no more value than anybody else, even though she, that's what the culture I want our program to be. Even though I'm the head coach and I get a nice big office, I'm no more important than, our Rachel Messer, our video coordinator. We all have equal value, and our roles are all very much equal in importance. And so that's kind of the culture I want to create, and I think we're getting there. We just got to keep recruiting to that. We got to keep signing athletes that buy into that. We're getting there, but like Tara's got 40 years on me in culture. Well, maybe not that much, but 30 years. I think she got her first head job when she was 12 or something like that. So she's been coaching forever and has done just a tremendous job. And I was aware of that playing Arizona State. Charlie Turner-Thorne's been there 20 years, and she's got 20 years in terms of building a culture at a program. Arizona State knows who they are. They know what they're doing. They know how they're good, and it's evident. And so that's where we're getting to, and that's motivating for me as a coach to get there.
Has anyone's reaction to losing surprised you as far as, the team goes? Has anyone maybe stepped up, or has there just been some surprises in personality for you?
I don't think so. They all hate to lose. They really do, and I love that. I mean, and that was a change. Last year they got some success, and this year, I mean, they're ticked off. They were. I kind of had to do some pumping them up yesterday a little bit because they're furious that we not just lost, but that we didn't play well. And that's the thing, as I said at the beginning of this, like, we have to get back to just working on getting better. And I told them there's the great Bill Walsh book that I love. It's one of my favorite sport books called The Score Takes Care of Itself. And that's kind of where we have to get back to the mentality of if we just have to keep getting better, keep focusing on things we can control, playing a little tougher, playing a little stronger, and the score takes care of itself.
What's the mindset of the team coming into this weekend, knowing you guys, before last weekend you were undefeated here at your home court. Mm-hmm. You've got 2 more tough games against ranked opponents this coming weekend. Mm-hmm. How are the players feeling, and how are you feeling coming into this knowing it's going to be really tough?
I'm excited about it. I really am. The worst part about losing is waiting until the next time you play. Just because it's the last time you put the uniforms on, we didn't, and again, it's not as much, I can't emphasize this enough, it's not that we lost. No one in the conference is going to go undefeated. It's that we didn't play to our potential, and that's what irritates me, gets under, that's what keeps me up at night. It's not the loss, it's how we lost. So I'm excited to put the uniform back on. Well, not me personally. We'll spare everyone that. But for our team to, and for us to get back out there and compete and do better and let the score take care of itself. But it's going to be a tough weekend. They all are, but I'm excited to get back out there, and I think the players are too. They're better than what we showed. They're competitive. They're bought in. They want to redeem themselves regardless of outcome. Like, let's just play better for heaven's sakes, and let's get back out there. So I think we're excited.
Maybe cutting across your point that you don't want any player to be more important than any other, but it seems like a tough 2 games for Malia Nawahine. How much of a bellwether can she be? I mean, look at her game against USC, and it really seemed that performance really seemed to kind of swing you guys a little bit and maybe propel you guys. How important is it to get her going?
It's critical, and we talked about this yesterday. I talked about it with her in front of the team. She's averaging in Pac-12 play 36 minutes, which is a lot. The thing that Malia brings, the value that she brings, is it doesn't matter if she's scored 0 or she's scored 50. Her effort is never going to change. She's going to play her tail off. She's competitive, a player as I've ever coached. And just in terms of she wants to win and she wants to compete and she wants to do all those things. But if you're going to play 36 minutes a game, and this is what I told her, you've got to produce more. And in terms of, in those 4 Pac-12 games, she has 3 defensive rebounds. She's a great rebounder. So, we need her to rebound a little bit more. I don't mind her shooting the volume that she's shooting, but she's got to be more productive. She's got to make more or shoot less. And she knows it. And the thing about her is she's a toughest kid you'll find, and she'll make the adjustments. I have so much confidence in her. That's why it's hard to take her off the floor. To your point, she's really valuable to us, and she brings so much, and she never quits on plays, and she's really athletic and fast, and she always knows what we're doing defensively. So she has a ton of value. She just needs to be more efficient with her kind of productivity and stat-wise.
What do you guys need to do to walk away with a win against Stanford on Friday?
Score more points than them. They're really good, and we're gonna have to play great. Like I said, they don't beat themselves, so we're going to have to beat them. What does that mean? We have to be tremendously better defensively than we've been. We've got to rebound a whole lot better than we've rebounded, which I think we're capable of both those things. So much of that is just the focus part that I talked about, the physicality part, getting better. We're capable of doing those things, and then we've got to. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck when I say we've got to score more. We have to score more. So we've got to shoot well, take great shots. The thing with Stanford is if you take a bad shot, they're going to come down and take a great one. And so you're just playing with fire. And that's what they do. They execute and they take good shots. So if we take bad ones, either rushed or guarded or whatever, they're going to take good ones. And then it's just a matter of statistics that they're going to be really, really difficult to beat if you're doing those things.
So since Utah's been in the Pac-12, they haven't yet been able to beat Stanford. Is there maybe a little bit of hesitancy in the players knowing that they're, knowing the past that they, have struggled against Stanford, or are they really just kind of raring to go and want to, maybe prove themselves against one of the better teams?
I'd say the latter. We don't talk about, I've only played them twice. I'm 0-2. So, we haven't talked about that at all. Of course, our players are aware of Stanford's, pedigree and kind of their the history in the women's game and how much respect we all have for Tara and what they've done there. But I don't think you can only play the game you're playing this year, and so we get them at home one time, and we got to try to compete and make it a game and play to our strengths. So I don't think there's any sort of anything like that. I hope not. I would be surprised. I'd be surprised.
You good? So Friday against Stanford, the fans have a chance to win something too. You
Yes.
just want to talk about that a little bit?
So it's one of our bigger promotions this year for this Stanford game. It's at 6 p.m. We're doing a family Disneyland vacation giveaway. So they're going to select some families. All you have to do is show up to the game. You don't have to, do anything spectacular, make a half-court shot or anything like that. So they're going to select some families, and they're going to select a family to win it. And it's 4 airplane tickets down to Disneyland, a 3-night stay at a Disneyland resort, ground transportation, and then passes, I think, for 2 days, family passes at Disneyland. So a great incentive to come to the game. Any families eligible, all you got to do is come. There's going to be Disney characters up on the concourse walking around, all sorts of fun stuff. So we hope it's a great game in terms of our fan. We need our fans there. It's going to be a competitive game and just a really fun promotion, and we hope it brings a lot of people out.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Can I just talk to you for an extra second about Malia? Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.